All right, let's dive straight into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking what actually happens when the digital world's biggest personalities are pushed past their absolute physical limits. This isn't just some simple game show. It's a grueling social experiment where the real enemy isn't the other players, it's human endurance. We're going to break down exactly how sheer, raw exhaustion systematically dismantled the composure of the internet's top creators.
Now, to really grasp the crushing pressure these competitors face, we first have to establish the insane scale of the ecosystem we're analyzing here. $100 million. That's the staggering value of just a single car featured in the source material. We're talking about an environment built on massive, almost incomprehensible budgets. When you're operating in a world where one vehicle costs more than what most people make in 1,000 lifetimes, the psychological baseline for what's considered extreme is completely shattered.
And honestly, it doesn't just stop at the cars. We saw ordinary people being handed unlimited cash for 60 seconds, literally stuffing duffel bags with money just for buying a chocolate bar. Imagine stepping into an arena where that kind of wealth is treated like absolute pocket change. For the creators, they know stepping into this game means the stakes are going to be astronomically high, and the challenges will be ruthlessly demanding on both their bodies and their minds.
But the tension? It hits an entirely new level when you factor in the human capital. 1 billion. That is the combined subscriber count of the 50 creators who were trapped in a single room for this ultimate test. Imagine the sheer claustrophobia of 50 massive egos and personal brands squeezed tightly into one enclosed space under blistering studio lights. Every single flinch, every drop of sweat, and every cracked voice is being documented for 1 billion people just waiting to see who breaks first.
So that brings us to the ultimate question. How far will the internet's biggest stars actually push their bodies and minds for $1 million? It's not just about the money. It's about survival in the ultimate creator pressure cooker. In this explainer, we're analyzing exactly how physical exhaustion and raw nerve dictated their breaking points.
Let's move right into Section 1, the Cookie Crucible and the phenomenon of trembling hands.
Now, on the surface, this sounds like a children's game, right? But it brilliantly illustrates the cruel luck of the draw. You're holding a fragile piece of sugar with $1 million on the line, and your body is literally reacting like you're defusing a live bomb. On one side, you have the triangle, 3 straight, super easy cuts. But on the other side, the umbrella. It's a fragile, intricate trap with curved edges basically designed to snap. Creators were immediately thrown into a state of panic based purely on the shape they received from their team captains. Imagine that immediate adrenaline dump. You can literally hear the genuine dread in their voices. Just listen to this quote. "This is the worst day of my life, honestly." That perfectly captures the mood in the room. Your nervous system just kicks into overdrive. These are hands that usually execute flawless video game combos or hold cameras perfectly steady, and now they're tasked with microscopic precision under maximum distress. Even the most highly experienced creators couldn't suppress their body's physical responses. We literally watched Pokemon, who was handed the dreaded umbrella, have her cookie shatter almost instantly. But perhaps the most telling example was Sketch. The guy was visibly shaking, his hands vibrating so uncontrollably under the adrenaline rush that his cookie snapped on the supposedly easier star shape. Your fine motor skills completely evaporate when that fight-or-flight response hits. In just this single, brutal round, 11 creators were eliminated strictly because their hands betrayed them.
All right, on to Section 2, a Jenga marathon and the massive physical toll it took.
If the Cookie Crucible was a quick burst of panic, this Jenga challenge became a slow, agonizing drain of stamina. Tracking the sheer length of time these competitors had to stay entirely locked in really reveals the true torture here. They started with giant Jenga, right? Literally climbing rickety ladders, putting their whole bodies into removing these massive heavy blocks. Then, after an hour when the towers maxed out, they had to pivot to normal Jenga. Guys like JJ and AJ were locked in a single, hyper-focused standoff for over 2 hours. That is 2 solid hours of standing, squinting, and holding your breath while your muscles just slowly give out.
By the end of this marathon, massive athletes were completely physically drained. Look at this quote from Logan Paul. "I can't do this, bro. I can barely move, bro." I mean, this is a guy who professionally boxes, who went grueling rounds in the ring with Floyd Mayweather. If an elite athlete is pushed to the point where he can barely move, imagine what's happening to the standard gamers in the room. This massive drain on their energy reserves perfectly set the stage for the emotional betrayals to come.
Which brings us to Section 3, biometric betrayals and spiking heart rates.
Because exhaustion directly impairs your judgment and emotional regulation, right?
Thanks to the smart rings the creators wore, we have literal biometric data showing exactly how their exhausted bodies reacted to the stress of lying. Ludwig, defending a safe case, manages a pretty calm 87 beats per minute. Logan Paul, visibly stressed out, jumps to 106, but Valkyrie, she is the fascinating standout. As she stares down her opponent, fakes a smile, and ruthlessly bluffs to eliminate them, her heart rate absolutely explodes to 152 beats per minute. That's the equivalent of an intense cardio workout, all while sitting perfectly still.
Think about the last time you were running on zero sleep. Now imagine having to lie to your friends' faces for $1 million. When you're physically worn out from hours of Jenga and cookie carving, your poker face just vanishes. Kai Cenat explicitly noted he could read Logan Paul's exhaustion like a book, easily calling his bluff. MKBHD, who is known for his super calm demeanor, was forced into this incredibly tense, silent standoff. Under this kind of physical pressure, long-standing alliances just dissolved instantly.
Moving into our final section, the final bluff, where everyone is just running on fumes.
After surviving the cooking challenges, where, by the way, the physical fatigue was so profound that Logan Paul regressively smashed a plate out of sheer ingrained habit, the final 5 arrived at the ultimate bluff. They were quite literally running on fumes. First up, a blindfolded briefcase shuffle. Then, a dead silent analysis of their opponent's facial twitches. Every single player was lying about having the $1 million, leading to rapid-fire voting and tiebreaker interrogations. Ultimately, after surviving this absolute physical gauntlet, Jaden Animations claimed the victory.
So, the absolutely crucial point here is that Jaden Animations managed to suppress her physical exhaustion just enough to convince everyone she was holding an empty briefcase. Despite the grueling hours, the shaky hands from the cookie round, and the spiking heart rates, she completely masked her physical tells. She maintained absolute, chilling composure when others faltered. Her mind successfully overrode her body's immense fatigue at the exact moment she needed it most.
We've seen exactly how this multi-stage crucible breaks down the body and the mind, stripping away fine motor skills and spiking heart rates to dangerous levels. Which leaves us with a pretty provocative thought to end on. When you see the sheer physical shaking, the 152 BPM heart rates, and the exhausted betrayals, what is the true cost of surviving the creator economy's ultimate pressure cooker? Is the crushing physical and mental toll truly worth the ultimate prize? Think about that next time you watch one of these massive competitions. Thanks for joining us for this explainer, and we'll catch you next time.